Hello, welcome to Pike Creek Farm and welcome back to Mrs. Wages Week. Today I'm going to make dilly green beans. Something I have bought in the store but I've not personally made. My mom used to and I always liked them. So here is Mrs. Wages dilled green beans. And it's a little different than some recipes. I thought it'd be like the pickles where you pack them and then put the brine in. Nope, these have to go in the brine. And you gotta par cook them. So it calls for 2.5 pounds of green beans. And I have washed these and rinsed them and trimmed the ends off and cut some in half because they were so long and rinsed them again. So I'll get to canning. But first, I wanna thank Linda at Tuliloo Creates for coming up with this idea for Mrs. Wages Week. And there are 7 channels, I believe it is. I'll have all of them listed down below. Some awesome channels, some of my favorites. And we're all going to be canning different Mrs. Wages mixes. And I shouldn't say canning because some of them are not canning. Some of them are dips and all different things you can do. So they're not all canning recipes. But we're all doing them all week. So one day you might have 5 videos, one day you might have 7. So keep attention to that, pay attention to that playlist and every day for new videos and watch them all and comment because there will be a drawing at the end of the week and I'll have that information down below and we're going to be giving away some Mrs. Wages, different mixes. Linda has those and she will be telling you more about that, but I'm excited. I have used Mrs. Wages for years. The salsa mix, probably 15 years at least, and I've done their pizza sauce and I've done their chili mix and I have their pickles I've been using for probably 10 years. The bread and butter are a family favorite, so I highly recommend them. What I like personally about them is I can work a full day at work and I can come home and I can can with Mrs. Wages because a lot of the prep work is done. All that little dicing of vegetables and stuff is all in here. So it's a quick after work project to have wonderful home canned items on your pantry, shelf stable. And they also give directions if you just want to put them in your refrigerator and not can it. So that's also an option. And all of them, I think, pretty much are water bath recipes too, which is nice. Great for beginners. Water bath is less intimidating for a lot of people when they start. So I have my green beans washed, trimmed, washed again. And the next step, it says, is to put them, let me pull you down, into a non-reactive pot. You don't want aluminum. So this is a stainless steel pot. Let's see if it's going to be big enough. Okay, it should be. Got a little scared there. And I'm going to snap this one in half. Make sure there's no little flower ends or anything. I've tried to get them all off. Now we need to put some water in this and just cover these beans and bring them to a boil and reduce the heat and simmer for 5 minutes. Just to kind of like par cook them. But they're not going to be soft. So I'm going to take that step now and get them on the stove going and I'll bring you back. I have my stove on and my beans are in this pot. Meanwhile, I have 6 wide mouth pint. Meanwhile, I have 6 wide mouth pint jars that I have washed, but I have them in my dishwasher now heating up and sterilizing. And I have my canning lids. I have these washed and these are 4 jar lids. And I do have a discount code down below. I'm going to put some hot water on these because it is what they recommend for their compound. So make sure whatever brand lids you use, and I do highly recommend these, follow the directions for your lids. We're just waiting for these to come to a boil. Then we will put it down to a simmer, and I'll put my timer on for 5 minutes. I am a timer girl. I like to use a timer to make sure, because it's easy to get a phone call or start talking to your husband or just to get distracted in some way. So timers keep me on task. So I will bring you back when I'm ready to drain these and we'll get it going. Green beans are done and drained. So next step is to mix this and all the other ingredients in the pan. Hopefully the pan's big enough. I'm going to mix the brine and then add the green beans to it, because I think it will, my personal feeling is it will mix better that way. So the first thing I'm going to do is add the vinegar, which is 2.5 cups. Thought I bought the big jug of vinegar and I bought 2 little ones. So I need to pay attention when I do my order. So 1 cup, 2 cup, and a half. Now I'm going to go get 2.5 cups of water to add into this. 2.5 cups of water. Next, we need 1 cup of sugar. This is half a cup measure. So 1, 2. I think it will be easier to make sure everything is mixed this way. It didn't really say, it just said to mix it all. So this is my feeling on it, and we'll find out if it works or not. You can learn by what I do. If it's a mistake, don't do it. And now the seasoning pack. Ooh, there is dill. There is definitely dill in this. So that's, ooh, yeah, there's pickling spice in this. And so now we're going to add the beans and carefully put these in. Oh, I think this will work. There we go. Put the pan aside. And let's mix these up. Oh, it smells really good. And there's lots of spices in it. I can see all kinds of dried herbs and spices, and there's the peppercorn. I think that's what that was. So now we need to bring this back up to a boil and reduce the heat and simmer for 5 minutes again. So let me bring it up and we'll bring it to the boil. Then we disperse the brine evenly amongst them. Let's get these 2. I don't know if I'm going to get 6 like they said, and I did weigh my green beans, but I weighed them before I trimmed them. Maybe I should have weighed after. It didn't say that. Poke all these down. You don't want them sticking above that 1/2 inch. So I guess that's the thing. By par cooking these, you can fit them in. They won't be as pretty on the outside. You know, they won't be all evenly vertical. Let me grab another hot jar. Ah, it locked. Let me put this on. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get that many. And that happens with canning. You know, you can weigh things, you can measure, but you know, it's different. You know, my thickness of my beans could be different. There's so many variables. So as long as you're following all the directions, it's fine. Get all these last straggler beans out. I had more beans I could have cooked, you know, put in here too, but I did it by weight. I should have thrown some extra in. So get all those beans so they're below the 1/2 inch. And now we're going to put the brine. So I'm going to end up with 5. And in case I'm going to run out of brine, I'm going to put it in all of them, and they give directions on vinegar and water, you know, 1 part vinegar, 1 part hot water if you need more brine. So I am going to see how that goes. So I want to make sure that each jar has some of the spices in it. And I'm going to keep stirring this because they're settling to the bottom. I am making a mess. Because these aren't up to the 1/2 inch. So let me grab my vinegar. I did equal amounts of water and vinegar, and I'm just heating up. While that's heating up, I'm going to debubble, so I'll know how much I need to, and make sure those beans stay below the 1/2 inch. You might need to juggle them some. That didn't take long to heat up. So I'm going to just get each jar up to the 1/2 inch mark. There's still a few little spices in here, so trying to grab them too. Okay, now I'm going to do a final debubble and check the headspace. I use the end of my debubbler, the 1/2 inch one, so that needs to go down. There we go. Let's do this one. Get the pokey ends down. Debubble this one. A little smidge more in that one. Touches, 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 and touches. They all have the correct amount of brine now. So next we have to clean these rims. Make sure all, and if you're an experienced canner, you already know this. I just always say it in case there's someone new. And as a reminder for myself, I like reminders. Now I've had my 4 jar lids soaking in hot water. So I'm going to put them on. And next put, whoops, sorry about that. put the rings on finger tight and set them on my steam canner, which I have the water in it, and it's been heating up because I don't want these warm jars to go into a cold steam canner. I am going to put the lid on my steam canner. There's a hole here. I'm going to make sure that's facing to the back. And there is a gauge up here, and when it comes up high enough and builds up enough that the gauge is in the green zone and where I have marked that it goes to for our area, I will set the timer for, let me read, 20 minutes for pints. I'm surprised that long. So this has been a different pickling process for me than what I'm used to with the dill pickles and the other pickles, but I'm sure they'll be good. So I'll bring you back to show you the final product. Took the top off. After the timer went off, I let it set for about 10 minutes, then just tilted a little to let the steam out, and then took it off. So here they are. And you can see the little spices in them. So I'm going to move them over to my canning mat to let them rest for at least 12 hours. So it's in the afternoon, so I won't touch these until tomorrow morning. Here are my finished dilled beans, I guess is what they call them. And this one probably could have been packed a little more. As you can see, we've been eating them. And so they're not real crisp. So here's the jar that didn't seal. Let me show you what they're like. They're not really crisp. Let me see if I can get there. But there is a crunch. And the flavor was amazing. Amazing. I will definitely make these again. But just know they're not like a raw bean. They're not that kind of crunch. The flavor though, the blend of spices is spot on. There's dill, and I don't even know what else. It's just wonderful. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned and watch all of the Mrs. Wages videos this week. There's going to be a lot of them, so check out the playlist. And if you like what you're watching, subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you here. And I do videos on canning and vintage recipes and just life here at Pike Creek Farm. See you next time at Pike Creek Farm. Thank you for watching. See you next time at Pike Creek Farm.